Hey, how's it going? Austin Gill here, getting into another live stream. And we are building over-engineered apps for my dog. What's the app that we're building today? We are building a project that I've still been kind of massaging the name on, but ultimately it is a manager for the pets in my neighborhood because I have a bajillion dogs that come by, which are all cute, and I want to go outside and pet all of them. And then I get into these awkward conversations because I don't remember their names, and I, more importantly, don't remember the owners' names. Um, and it's been like, after 15 conversations with them, it gets kind of awkward. So anyway, that's what we're building. We're using some databases. We're using some remix.run, which means we're using some React. And what else? Prisma. So far I'm having fun working on it. So let's get into sharing my screen, picking up where we left off. Let's do that. Should be able to see my code now. And let me pull up a terminal. Whoa, that's different. Let's go to, what is it? Streams, and then less. Okay. Bring over my terminal. I'm in this folder called dogs, which we're going to change the name of because whatever. And we're going to say npm run dev, and that's going to run my remix dev command. It's watching remix app in dev mode, which means I should be able to go on my browser to localhost. I think it's 3000. This should tell me, yeah, localhost 3000. And there it is. Currently, it's called Nuggets Little Black Book. Let's change that because I did a little question out to the Twitter sphere on what we should call this thing. And I had asked between PRM, a pet relationship manager, or NPM for neighborhood pet manager. So we're going to go with NPM. I'm just going to call it. How can I do this? Maybe I should like highlight that or something. The N. We're going to call it neighborhood pet manager. Cool. Start with that, hit save. Instantly it changes on the front end. That's kind of nice. And where we left off on Wednesday last week was having this ability where we created this form and some inputs, and then we could add these doggos and we could view them. So I think, what is the next thing I need to work on? I can either, I think being able to like view individual dogs might be relevant. Oh, I think I did something too where if you try to submit this, no, apparently I didn't. There should be something where I get validation error messages. So let's see if we can sort that out. Okay, so here's our form. When it submits to the current page because we have not defined an action, which means it goes to this action function handler. So the form data is going to come in. We're going to do some validation here, but that doesn't seem to be running. So let's see if I can log console log here. Nice. Super trusty. And then here we'll go console log user. We'll actually do that after all of this, so that we should have an updated user variable, and then we should see the user. Let's see. Reload. If I hit that and hit send, that should have logged something to the console. We get here. We don't get the user. Okay, that kind of makes sense because our schema should be failing. Okay, so our schema is failing. or our validation is failing, which means we are hitting this catch block. We are returning early, which means we should be sending these errors, which means we should have action data, which means I should have something here. So let's try JSON.stringify action data. So reload, reload should not see anything. What is this going? Why is burp? Should not be seeing anything on reload, but when I submit something, I should see the action data. Oh, what is going on? That's interesting. What if we did an object with action data like that? Then at least we should see, okay, we do see an empty object. Oh. That doesn't make any sense. Because we should see like merp of undefined. Or if I do merp, let's see. Const merp equals undefined. I feel like I should see something that says merp in the browser. And I don't. If merp is 3. Okay, we do see merp. Got it. So that means action data is being undefined. So I should see action data. Should see nothing. And then we submit something and we still see nothing. What is going on here? I wonder if... Oh, that's the problem. Oh no, that's the validation object. That would be the error. Okay, let's see what we've got here. Console log validation object. Let's do that. We should see an error on the server. There's my validation object. Should have 2 errors, and I should see my errors as an array. All right. Let's try something else. Let's try in our catch block, we'll just return something. Return merp is derp. Derp. Thank you. So we return that. No matter what, on the action, we return that. So regardless, well, I guess technically, let's do this. Let's even pull this all the way up to the top. So before any behavior is taken or any action is taken, we should get some data back, and we are not. So something's wrong with that. And we're at localhost. We are running. We send that. We are not getting valid okay, yeah. Yeah, okay, whatever. We are not getting our action data back. One of those days where it was working the last time I touched it, and now it's not working. So, all right, let's figure this out. Use action data. What if I like console log action data? And I'll even wrap that in an object so that we'll see it log. Action data is undefined as expected. Submit that. Action data is still undefined. On the server, we see action data is undefined. Huh. That comma shouldn't matter. What if okay. Let's look at the docs. Let's go remix.run. And we are going to read the docs. We're going to do a search for action data. Use action data. Data is use action data. So JSON. Let's try this. Do I need this? Do I need this JSON? Is that the problem? Let's go up, paste that, bring it down. And then does this need to be wrapped in this JSON function? Oh, okay. Interesting. Do I have to use this form? Form. Come down to our form tag and replace it. Form component. And now everything should be matching this pretty closely, exactly taken from the docs. Okay, that's annoying. Okay, so that's working now, which it's kind of frustrating that I have to use this form. Can I use it without using this form component? I would like to have that just on the server side, please. What is up with that? All right, let's let's try getting the code exactly back to how it was. This. Oh shoot. Okay. No, that's right. Oh, maybe it is this JSON thing. Okay. That's what it could be. So returning JSON means that when I add doggo, I get merp derp. Great. Now, what if I don't use this JSON? And this is going to be a very annoying thing that takes me back exactly how the code was. And watch this. It's going to work. I'll even reload. Hit add doggo. Sure enough. I don't get it. Restart the server. Get everything back exactly how it was. Reload the page. And it's working. Okay. Makes no sense. Makes no sense, but that's okay. All right. So we'll get rid of this. On a validation error, we should see those validation error messages. And there it is. Sure enough. Warning, each child in a list should have a unique key. That's right. Let's go down to our list and let's say key equals probably error is fine because those are going to be unique. So add doggo, we get the error messages. Cool. Now, next thing I wanted to see is there is a component that I think I had bookmarked on my phone. Here it is. All right, so this is going to be at remix-forms dot seasoned.cc. So this looks super cool because with this, we actually generate this. Go ahead, try this with JS disabled as well. Okay, that's cool. And what happens if I disable JavaScript? I don't know. I'll give it a try. But I like this. I like this. Let's give this a try. So I'm going to check this out. I'm going to stop this. I'm going to npm install Zod. What app am I making? I am making the app that we were working on last time, which is this neighborhood pet manager. So for the most part, it's going to be like a CRM that you can, I mean, ideally you'll be able to use this general information for a lot of different types of apps, because we're mostly going to be covering creating, reading, updating, and deleting content, which is applies to tons of different applications. But I'm making one so that I can remember all of the pets in my neighborhood, like all the dogs that walk by. So that's the idea. And yes, I want to check out this form. We're doing it with Remix. We're doing it with SQL or SQLite today, and eventually we'll deploy it to a managed database. And make domain function. What is that? Oh, Remix domains. I want to see what this is. Yeah, I don't know. It's a CRM system. Keep your business logic clean with Remix domains. Helps you decouple business logic from Remix actions and loaders with first type inference end to end. Okay. First parameter types in runtimes through Zod schemas and always wrapping results, even exceptions, into a promised result output type. Okay. Gonna ignore that for now. Oh, do I have to use that? It looks like I do. Request schema mutation success path. That might be more than I'm interested in getting into right now. So I'm just going to check this out from a code review perspective, see if it's something that I'm interested in. So when I use this component, it's going to generate the form. It's going to put the action in there for me. It's going to set the enc type by default to whatever the default is, unless I were to set that myself, I'm guessing. And it adds some classes, which is interesting. And those, yeah, because it doesn't look like they define the classes there. That's fine. And then each input is a div with a label and then the input. And then if you try and submit something, it looks like that input gets autofocus. What is Remix and how does it help with that? That is a good question. Give me one moment. Let me keep on looking through this code really quick, and then I will answer. So they're using Tailwindy classes, it looks like. And then they have ID is taken from here. Man, it is kind of magical how much it generates for you, but it also follows a pretty strict convention. First name is first name. Aria labeled by, label for first name. Okay. Aria invalid true, required true, value. Value is unset, which makes sense. And if I set it, the value still is unset as far as this is concerned. Okay. Invalid is false. Required is true. That error message goes away. So that's cool. That's kind of cool. Let's see, Tailwind. No, you over here. Huh. Interesting. Okay. So to answer your question, what is Remix? Remix is a pretty cool project that you can see at remix.run. And it's essentially a full stack application, a full stack JavaScript. I don't even know how do they sell themselves? Yeah, a full stack web framework that lets you focus on the user interface and work back through web standards to deliver fast, slick, and resilient user experience. People are going to love using your stuff. So this first sentence basically captures what it is. And what is the problem that they're trying to solve is currently they support React, or they only support React. And so you kind of build out your application, your UI side of application, with like React style JSX stuff. The idea behind Remix, though, is that it focuses on the web platform, or following the standards of the web platform. So instead of trying to do a lot of magic-y stuff on the client side, they kind of do some of the magic on the server side, so that when I write my code that looks like plain HTML like this, it will actually behave like plain HTML. Like this form, when I hit submit on this form, it actually does the whole page like browser refresh, and then Remix is running on the server side, and I broke it somehow. Because I didn't have it running. So let me install the Zod really quick, and then get back into npm run dev. And so it's running on the server side, and will listen to that request coming in, and it will sort of respect the web platform primitives of handling those requests, or handling how that data is brought in. And then it allows you to add some logic that you can then return a response, and then use React again to lay it out. I hope that answers the question, but the short version is it's a full stack web application building framework. Good. Hopefully that answers it. Yeah, and the appeal is that it promotes what I consider to be best practices by following the web platform. Okay, so let's make sure that things are still working. I hit add doggo, and once again, it's broken. So this is an interesting thing that must have to do with the cache, I bet. Let's try deleting that. Reload, hit add doggo. Okay. It must be this JSON thing. That's what it is, I bet. Let's do remix run, import the node runtime, bring in the JSON package, grab this from JSON, and return. What am I returning? Here. JSON. And probably here as well. So is that what I need to get this to work? Gosh, why does this not work? This is a pretty bad developer experience that I'm running into. Maybe it's a bug on their end. But inconsistent experiences across. Why does that work? Okay, let's take this form, replace that, and is this now going to magically make it work? It is, but I don't understand why. All right, we'll sort it out. For now, yeah, see, it's a weird caching thing. Okay, so it's required that I use this form component, it seems like. Or maybe I'm just being, hold on. Maybe I'm, blah, 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 blah. Okay, no, maybe I'm just being ridiculous. Okay, let's get rid of this form. Let's try getting rid of this JSON thing. Okay, all right, let's try with that. Next thing is I had that validation set up. I did install this Zod package because I want to do validation with Zod. So instead of yup, we're going to try this Zod thing. So let's see how we get started. A lot of sponsorship. We want to turn strict on. I think I have strict on. Yep. Okay. And then we import Z from Zod. And this is what it should look like. Defining schemas, literal, strings, numbers. So I should have what is the difference between parse and safe parse? Basic usage. Here we go. Parsing throws a Zod error. Safe parse doesn't throw error if validation fails. It just tells me whether there was a success or a Zod error. Okay. I like this. I like this approach. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to use Zod. We're going to say the user schema. We're basically going to repeat what we've got here. Instead of parse, I think we're going to use safe parse. And then we're going to say that the user schema equals z dot object. And that expects us to pass in the shape of an object, which we actually have here. We can undo that. Instead of yup, we're going to use z. And z.string is a function. And we should be able to see required, I think. All properties are required by default. Okay. Okay, so if I want things that are not required, I can mark them as optional. Cool. Easy enough. Don't need to have required. And because it supports email, we can mark that as an email. Great. Let's move that. And then instead of safe parse, we can do, or instead of validate sync, we can do safe parse. Let's copy that and remove that, change that to safe parse. And then we should see if there's like an abort early command. Maybe not. Okay, let's see if this still works. I want to throw an invalid object. I want to see what this validation, I want to see what this user is. Console log user, and then we'll just return user is fine. Okay, let's come back here. Let's submit that. We should see some sort of error. This is what it looks like. The error has issues, and the issues is a Zod error. Makes sense. The issues is an array of objects, but it's didn't catch that name was required. Okay. So I think I need to explicitly set a minimum. So string dot min length Or maybe min is a minimum of 1. Let's hit that one more time. Let's see what this gives us back. 2 errors. Cool. Okay, I like that. And this says, this gives me the error message. It's beautiful. That means I can use that. Invalid email. Okay, I like that. Which means I can go, instead of doing this try catch, this is no longer going to fail. I love this. This is great. I'm going to say let user equal that. Get rid of this. We'll get rid of that. Get rid of all that. Get rid of that console log. And this. Actually, we probably still want that. We're going to make that an if statement. And that's not actually the user. This is going to be the... Well, I need to destructure this because I'm going to get an error, a success, or data. So I'm going to get error, success, and I should get something else. I feel like there should be data potentially. There's no need to call abort early. Okay, so far Zod has cleaned up my work quite a bit. So if there is, let's just log these no matter what. Console log that, and then we can say if there's not success, if there's not success, we want to return the errors. And the errors look like this. Error dot issues dot map. We're going to return some JSON with errors in it. That's going to be error dot issues dot map. And we have the issues, I think. Doesn't look like it. So issue, and we are going to return the issue dot. Yeah, it's not telling me what that is because it doesn't know what error is. That doesn't make any sense. It should know what error is. That's error. These are issues. It's supposed to be type checked. But anyway, we'll return the message. So the issue dot message. Cool. Otherwise, we return the user, which is not a thing. So we'll just return nothing. And we come here, we submit our form, we see our errors correctly. And then on the server side, we saw, what did we see? Saw errors. Okay, so we saw the error, and then we saw success, and then we saw data. So if I hit send something, and then I'm console logging this action data, I don't need that. And then I want to actually create the user, which I can do here, which is const user equals await create. I'm actually going to return early here as well. Return. So let's log all this information with correct data now. So we do something, we do boop, 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 boop. We send some good data. We log that. Didn't return anything from action. That's right. My bad. I forgot about that. Let's hit that with some data. And we get something in our console. What do we get in our console? We get some actual data. Cool. This is great. User equals that. Let's send the user as data. User equals await. Create that from the data. This is pretty beautiful. And then we will return the data as the user. Cool. I like this so far. I like Zod. Zod is good. Okay, so let's see where we are now. We have our data coming in. We can say that Griffin, we already have, I think, in there, but we'll put them again. We'll see g at griffin.com. Submit that, and there's Griffin. Very nice. This is working. If we don't send valid data, we get an error object. If we send valid data, we get a new entry. If we send invalid data, we get error messages. If I reload, we don't see those because those only happen after I have posted data to my service. Boom. Okay, let's look at maybe managing some of these pets so I can actually start deleting some. So to delete a pet, what do we want to do? Yo, the raid is on. What's up, y'all? How was the stream? Oh, Stony Eagle's in the house. What's going on, y'all? We're doing some we changed the name to Neighborhood Pet Manager, aka NPM. And yeah, I've been dealing with some weird remixy issues, but I think we're over the issues and we're on to adding more dogs to our pet manager. Oh yeah? Man, I should have been on that. I had to take Nugget for a walk right before the stream, so I couldn't get much time in before going live. I really need to check that out. It's probably been a minute. You've probably made some big changes. Stony, your lurking skills are pretty terrible, at least on my stream. You don't lurk, you just pester. Lurking doesn't work if you keep on yelling at someone to insert semicolons every 3 minutes. Okay. What are we doing? I should probably put a page that goes to individual doggos or users, I guess is what we got. You adjust to the host. Very nice. Someday I hope to see what the other Stonies are like. Yeah, so let's build a page that actually shows the individual doggo like profiles. And then from there we can get into updating doggos and deleting them. We'll go in that order. So right now we have read collection. So we have routes. Regular Stony is somewhere in between. Oh, I'm sure. You've been somewhere in between on this show too. Just have to edit, proof the copy, wording, add a few more images. Editing copy and finding images doesn't sound like almost done. That's like copywriting is some of the hardest things, at least for me. Okay, so let's add a page called, it's going to be at a different route. Let's call it, what's a good name? Like profile? Let's do profile. Keep it kind of generic. Profile. Yeah. Profile and then index.jsx. Oh no, not JS. JSX, please. Okay, so this way we'll have a path at /profile, and then the index file will be the file that handles that route. So let me just copy this and paste it over here. We're not using yup. We're not using this JSON thing. Over here, we're not using either of those either. And then what I need to do is I need to have a loader. I'm going to have actions. You're so bad at copy. Yeah. Yeah. You know what? And don't even feel bad about that because I think that's most people. Especially as developers, it's really easy for us to let the coding get in the way of actually producing a product, which is why actually if you go to oops, I'm on the wrong page. Where am I going? If you go to my website, I used to have like a lot more things going on, and then I was just like, man, I just need this to be like a blog, and I just need this to be as kind of stupid simple as possible. So it's WordPress because I don't want to get. I was like building my own thing, and it was just way too much. And I even just like pared down blog posts so it's just one on top of the other, and it's all right. It doesn't look great, but it does get out of the way and lets me write stuff. Right. What was I doing? I was building a new page, a new component for a different route. And here's an interesting thing, or here's an interesting question, is I don't know if I need a nested folder with index.jsx or if I have a file called profile.j. I cannot, speaking about copywriting, can't even spell. Profile.jsx. So let's see which one wins. Let's call this one folder, and we'll call this one file. File. Yeah. You like my thumbnails and the background splash? Those built with Cloudflare? No, I build those myself. So one of the things that I really wanted to do with my website is give it some style. Phil still works. Yeah. Yeah. So this little background splash thing, I think I found some random background generator and just wanted something a little bit playful. And I think that's just an SVG file. And then these ones I found these things. Let me see if I can share this with you because it was pretty cool. Let's see, tools, design. So I'm going for a little bit of a clip art style and some sort of maybe kind of grunginess style. I don't know. I don't really know what to call it. But let me see if I can get this resources. Ah, man, there was like a really cool brush stroke SVG thing that I had found. Let's see. Brush strokes? Oh, you know what? I know where to find it. One moment. I can't share this because it's on my main browser, which has other secrets things that y'all can't see. If I could make a stream just for showcasing products and bookmarks that I had, that's what I would do. Used to do Photoshop brush design, like the problem with Photoshop though is it's raster images, and I want everything to be SVG. You had a random guy ask for Brent's Discord or my Discord. I don't have Discord. I don't have my own Discord, but I have a Discord name or username. Yo, Figma, what's going on? Why can't I log in? Well, I don't know. That's Figma's crapping out on me, so I'll have to get back to you on that. But Brent, remind me, I owe you a really cool place to get like SVG brushstrokes or spray paint things. Maybe I can bring it over here. Let's see if Figma will open here. And I just need to get my password. Let's see. Okay, cool. We are authenticated. Hopefully I don't have anything private in here. Nope. Yeah, so this is my little look behind the scenes. Yes, SVG is the way to go. And what I do is I have all of these brushstrokes saved that I got from somewhere. And then I just like have a copy of each one and just like make it somewhat myself. Like most of these SVG things I didn't make myself, obviously, but I just kind of compose it together. And I'm going for, yeah, like a brushstrokey, clip arty sort of feel. But the reason why I had to get in here is because this is the website where I get my brushstrokes from. And I'll post that on Twitch as well. And some of them, not all of them, are SVG, but they do have a good collection of things like this. Where is it? I don't know, stuff like this. So that's PNG only. But you can find some that are SVG. So anyway, onlygfx.com. Everything, as far as I know, is free public use licensing. So yeah, do with what you want. Did you just send the White Panther little icon? Is she on Twitch? I never see her streaming. All right, let's get back into this. We want to create a route. We don't want to. Yes, we want to create a route at slash. I guess we want a route at /pet/1. That's what we want. And that, of course, is going to give us a 404. And we want to create dynamic routes. So that's what I don't know how to do. Dynamic route params. Okay, so we need a file with $slug, I think. $slug. And do I have to use the word slug? Or can I just call it whatever? Let's find out. Yeah, I bet that she just streams at a time that I'm like not awake because I think she's in England. But her YouTube stuff is great though. Okay, let's see. So this doesn't need to be profile. This needs to be pet. And then inside of there, we need the slug, $. Let's see if I can get away with doing ID. So once I have that, then, here we go. Where am I? Then I need to use loader data, which gets me the slug from the params. Okay. So we've got we've got the loader already set up. And I just need the params, I guess. Let's see what happens if we log that. What we've got there. And then we can keep everything else the same. So if I reload, is this okay? Cool. So folder is going to work. Makes sense because the folder is here. I don't even know how I want to test this. Let's just delete this test. And what I want to do is essentially write a query that checks, instead of saying folder, I want this to return the pet's name. So inside of ID, we have that loading. We're logging the params, which means when this loaded, we got params with ID of 1. Cool. No regrets with Prisma so far. However, I did have a thought that one thing that I think that you were saying, Stony, that you've used connects before, but not objection. And one thing that I really like about objection is that it kind of naturally creates these sort of data models for me, where it makes it easy to separate a controller and a model. And so far, I've done like one route. So I don't have a lot of experience, but I'm wondering if it's easy to like, if I could destructure and get user. No, I cannot because I don't know. Maybe, but no regrets so far. But I'm curious to see how I can create abstractions around or like clear delineations between the route handler and the models, such that I don't just have a bunch of spaghetti code in here. We'll get to that later as this project kind of solidifies, but that's just a thought so far. So it looks like params. The slug can be called whatever you want, $ anything, and then that value that you use after the $ in the file name is what the property of the params is going to be called. So that all that to say that my const ID equals params.id. And we can assume that the ID will always be defined because it's always going to be part of, like, in order for this route to actually run and all of this code to fire, it has to be run at like /pet/something. We don't know for sure that the ID is always going to be a number. And in fact, I don't know if I'm always going to have my database schema designed to use numbers that like increment. We may use UUIDs or something else like that. But for now, we're just going to use numbers. You do have one mental one where it zigzags down the screen where you scroll. You do have one mental one where it zigzags down the screen when you scroll. Oh, what? I'm not entirely sure what you mean, but I think, yeah, you like sometimes having just raw access to the database like this, it's really nice when you absolutely need it, but it also can create too much flexibility and, yeah, too much, like not enough code reusability that just can become a mess. And then like your database queries get too interlocked or intertwined with the logic of the handler that it's like just becomes unmaintainable. We'll see. For now, we'll start with a mess and clean it up where we need to. I don't need the request. I actually don't know what the request has. Let's see. Console. Thank you. Log request. And I feel like there should be a way to maybe add type definitions to these loaders. So let's reload that. See what the console is going to tell me. So looks like the request has some pretty cool information about the request. Nothing too crazy. But also nothing that I really need. Looks like they have an abort controller. That's pretty cool. I wonder if that means I can like cancel a request early. I don't know if I would need to. I could just return early. So anyway, nothing I really need. So let's ignore the request. Just grab the params. Off of the params, we'll take the ID, which means that when we query the database, we can get the user. Can I say where? Or how do I user find? No, update, group by, find many, find first. Okay. Because we're working with an ID, I'm always going to find the first user. And then what do I do? An object probably. Yeah. And I can say where. And then, oh, this is so cool. Okay. This is pretty nice. Yeah, it's including all of the properties on the user right away because it's very type supported. I don't know what this and or and not do. So Stony, maybe you can jump in here, but it seems like where I could say where ID matches the ID, and then I can say like and something. So we got a link. Whoa. Okay, I see what you mean by zigzagging code now. Check out this code. You're making a query where you say where the ID is whatever this ID value is, and then include, I don't know what that does. Maybe this is like a subquery where the season, where you're querying for like a season. Man, look at this. You should probably switch to 2 spaces per tab instead of tab characters. I'm not telling you how to live your life, but can reduce some of this zigzagginess. Look at this. It's like a freaking, if you turn your head sideways, it looks like the Andes mountain range. And also, not to say that that's a bad thing, because this is obviously a very complex query. Crew season episode. That's impressive. Impressive to say the least. Yeah, the 4 tab. Okay, it's a join statement. So yes, of course, like no, that wouldn't be in here. I want to see Prisma. Prisma.io. Where's the docs? I want to do. Can I just do a search for and? What was going to come up? I guess I want to do like joins. Transactions and batch queries. Nah, I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. I'm so easily distracted. Okay, let's do this. We basically want to query just the first entry where the ID matches the ID, but I also I do want to do a select. So I don't want to grab everything. Select fields. Get user, find unique. I guess I could have done that as well. Where ID is 22, and then I want to select specific fields. Does select only take an object? Because it would be kind of nice. Yeah, I want to select. It would be nice if I could do an array. There's no example of select. What is select? Any. Okay. So it looks like I'm going to try an array. You can wrap 2 filter statements in an array, or so. Okay, got it. So instead of doing a where clause here, I would do something like and then I would do an array, and then I would say like where the ID equals. Well, yeah, let's like let's try this out, right? Where the ID, wait, what am I doing? That needs to be an object. Okay, so I think this is what you meant. So I can do an AND clause or an OR clause where the ID is the one that matches, or let's say another thing. Yeah, I guess it would tell me, no, where? No, I guess not. Where, let's say the ID is like 2. So now we can say either 1 or 2. Whoa, Nugget is losing his shoosh out there. And if I do that, then I should get some data back. We should see the application error. Verification, unknown arg or on type user. Yeah, I could use an in statement. I don't know what he is. Can y'all hear that? I'm almost concerned I should check on him. I'm going to try, because find unique might be the problem. No, I'm doing something wrong. Or is not allowed. That doesn't make sense. It was literally... Oh, was it not put here? Oh, wait a minute. I want to select a user where... Okay, so that or has to be in here, no? No, find first is good. Okay, yeah, find first. I think what you were saying, if I'm getting this correct, and I'm refusing to look at the documentation, I think what you're saying is I can do this, where the ID is 1, or let's say ID, yep, okay. Yeah, the fact that I'm getting this suggestion tells me I'm doing this right. Okay, so an or clause where the ID is 1, or the ID is whatever matches the parameter, or the ID is 2. So, oh, I got way too excited and threw my mouse. Put that back in. Did y'all hear me yelp? Okay, so we've got the data. Presumably, we've got the data coming back from the loader, which means the data should be here, which means I'm going to comment that out for now. And let's just JSON stringify that. Let's get rid of this form. And let's see what we've got coming back in our data. Okay, ID of 1, invalid, invocation. Got a value of that, provided string, expected an int. That makes sense because the parameter is going to be a string. So let's do number, reload, and we get our data back. So the interesting thing here is the or clause is not working because, no, the or clause is totally working. So because I'm doing a find first, it's getting both of them, but only returning the first one that it finds. So if I change this to an ID of like 4, I should see, or 5, I should be ID of 2. Cool, working. This is great. So because we're doing a find first, we really don't need this or clause, which means I can get rid of that. That or clause is super nice, actually. Connects is good. This is also good. Cool. So we want to get rid of that. And then I want to move on to a select. Oh, Brent. Come on, man. All right, let's see this. What do you got? Let's even turn the music off just to get the full effect here. Clipped it. Man, it could have even just been clipped at. Could have been just clipped at even just the little. That'd be great. Thanks, Brent. Appreciate that. Really love the support that I get from this group, and in no way does it give me things to talk about in therapy. uh, wow, emote parsing. I'm not sure what you meant by that. All right. So if I reload this, I should get, yep, doggo with ID of 5. That's great. Let's see if we can reduce the select because I don't, I mean, yeah, I do want to return all the information that's there, I suppose. So this is fine. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. So we are loading the user information or the dog information, and then because ID null doesn't exist, yes. Because I don't have any. Yeah, the ID is like it's a primary key and it's not allowed to be null. So we can. It's a safe assumption to just know that we're going to have the ID. Only gotcha here is I'm actually going to pull this up into that so that we know if we have to do anything else with the ID, we know it's going to be a number first things first. Usually you use something like this when you want to have the argument as an ID or a name parameter. I don't know what that means. But I'm going to keep going. We're going. We're going on undistracted mode. Hear that music coming in? It's hot. Hotness. Let's go. Let's go. All right. First things first, editing my doggo information. So now naturally you probably wouldn't want to show a profile with everything immediately editable. You'd want to like have like an edit page or whatever. I'm going to build the hard parts first so that if we need to add that, we can put on some sort of toggle. And I think the hard parts is doing the editing stuff. So let's get this form data back in place. Whoops. Why did that comment that out? Oh, because it didn't catch this. Cool. Good. We're going to get this form back. A lot of this is going to look more or less the same. And I have a form that's going to post some data. I want to post it to the current route because we're editing the current dog. But in fact, yes, no, maybe. Hold on. Okay, there's a couple challenges here. Oh yeah. You could have dog 2 or dog/boomer. Yeah, if I wanted to make sure that this route was fine, I could have a check that says, "Hey, you better make sure that this is a number." Because right now, if let's expose the issue here. Issue is we have an application error and our whole application blows up. So what is the solution here? Really, the long-term solution is I know I would rather use a string. So I'm not going to have this number call here because this is going to be a string. The reason being that I'm probably going to use something like not a UUID, but what is it, like a time-based UUID? What is it called? Like a time-based UUID. There's a certain format. I'll have to look it up and figure it out when I come. No, not UUID. UUID is not the one that I want, but I do appreciate the suggestions. The reason I don't want UUID is because they're actually just kind of unnecessarily long. I think that they're like 16 characters or something, and they aren't guaranteed to be like sortable. So when I get to the stream where we do a little migration and refactor what the IDs are going to look like, there's a certain it's like a different standard for generating uniquely identifiable, well, unique identifiers that are, you know, guaranteed unique to some degree, but they're much smaller amounts of data, and they take into account the first characters are generated based on the current time, which means that they are sortable, chronologically sortable. And, you know, of course, you can make the argument if you're using a relational database or any sort of database that you could do a sort based on some other column, like a created time column. But I think that could impact performance because the created time is probably not going to be an indexed column, whereas primary keys are always indexed, which generally means that the database knows how to sort by those things faster. I could be totally wrong. Don't take my word for it. I'm not an expert, but out of the research that I did, that's what I'm going to go with instead of UUID. Again, we'll get to that in a different stream because this stream we're going to handle just the CRUD operations for users that aren't even going to be a thing. You never sort on user ID or ID in general. No, and generally you wouldn't. But if you have something that you can sort on, like in chronological order, and it's a primary key, I think that there is that little bit of an advantage. So the performance implications of an index column versus non-index, I can't speak to that. And I know that it sounds weird to sort based on ID, but if that's built in, I don't know. That's just my opinion. Like, there is benefits to doing it with a time-based ID, but I can't think of the benefits of using just a UUID instead. Yeah, I'll probably have a created at column anyway, because I think from a time-based UUID, it would be hard to get the created at date time if you ever need it. I'm figuring it out as I go. This is where I'm at today, so we'll see. But yeah, I don't see any benefit to using UUID when there's other standards that are use less data and do have the advantage of at least being somehow inherently date chronologically sorted. Make sense? Hopefully. Or I just sound like an idiot, and I'm okay with that too. I'm down to explore. That's what this stream is about. So let's go. Let's do the CRUD operations. We have this data. I want to present it to the user. I'm going to show this form. When they reload, we have the name and the email. We're going to go with the name is going to have a value which equals, and that's going to be assigned to something. It's going to be the doggos, not going to be doggos. It's going to be the doggo. And that's going to be the doggo.name. And then the email value is going to be the doggo.email. So those things should be predefined when I load, and they're not, because I don't know why. Because I put it on the label. And of course I put the required on the label as well. Cool, very smart me. And I put it on this one as well. Awesome. Thanks for the help, everyone. I'm smart. There we go. And reload. There it is. And then this is complaining because I provided a value prop to a form field without an on-change handler. So this is interesting because this is a React issue that I really don't care about. Oh, except that I can't change it now, which is weird. Okay, React experts. Why can I not type into this if I'm not doing any data binding? That's weird, but I can do an on change equals. Yeah, use state and set state, but why can't I just assign a value and not use state management? Because I don't think I need to do state management. I mean, I guess I can, right? Because then I can get the doggo name up here. So we can do this. Doggo name on change is going to be just nothing for now. This on change is going to be nothing for now. And that's not working. Okay, fine. I would like to use Vue, but Remix doesn't support Vue. And there we go. There's my thing working. Looks like the error message is recommending default value. Okay. Creek burn. Mwah, love you. That's brilliant. Default value. That's me not doing enough of my React homework. And not doing any of my reading either. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, we may end up doing state. So if I change this now, that's great. If we wanted our title to change at the same time as we update this, then I would have to use state. And I may do that. Let's do that, right? Because this is a learning show. So from Remix Run React, does this come from React? Is use state? I don't think so. So that means I have to import use state from React. And then in my component, as I'm setting it up, we're going to say that const name is going to be use state. The initial value is going to be doggo.name. And that's it. And then that's going to give me back an array with 2 items. The first item is the name. The second one is the setter to set name, or a function to update it. And then this doodad is going to have a value of the name, and the on change event listener is going to be update name, right? And then we're going to have a function called update name, which is going to take an event and call set name on the event.target.value. I think that should work. And then instead of doggo name, that bound value will be on just the name. So when I update this, it's not going to do anything. There we go. We can see it. That's annoying. We'll do this. Don't fight the code. No, Stony. Creekburn came in with the correct answer, which was default value. Ideally, I don't want to use state. I don't want to use client-side state management because client-side state management is evil. No, that's not true. But client-side state management is really only useful if we're going to update something as we are making changes. Like when I type this name, I want to show the title to update. But what I'm going to do is actually have this be name or doggo.name. This way, if we have an empty state, we can default. Would you freaking reload? We can default to what was originally there. Otherwise, it will show the new thing. New Austin. Great. Form is looking good. The email we don't need to do any binding to because we're just going to send that data. So that's going to use just the client-side validation. If I get rid of that and hit that, we see, yep. If I get rid of that and try and submit it, we see that. Cool. New Austin, g@g.co, whatever. We're going to hit that, and then that's not going to do anything. No, it's going to say it's an invalid email. That's fine. That's fine. Call you a third. You're a third. Oh, call you like a turd? I think that's what you meant, and that's really funny. Okay. Form is set up. A little bit of nice little user experience. A third. That's great. I got to remember that one. So we can see Austin is cool. And then I want to add the doggo. And then we have Prisma user.create straight field on the female or on the failed fields email because it has to be unique. That makes sense. We don't want to create a new user. We are sending our form data. The form data is coming up to this async action, which means we need to pull that information and then we need to update the user. So we will do the validation. Yes. Okay. This is another signal that I'm going to need a user model at some point because I would really like to have this validation schema in one place instead of defining it in multiple. So anyway, we'll grab the form data, we'll grab the body from the request, and then we will validate it. I don't need this to be let. Set that to const. We'll change it here as well. And then instead of, so the validation is correct here. And here we want to, what do I want to do? I want to upsert. No, I just want to update. I want to update. I guess I'm going to get a where. Yeah. I'm going to get a where. And I'm going to need to pass the data as well. I think I like the syntax of having data first. No, data second. So update where what? Where ID is, and now I need to get the params, I'm guessing. And we'll do the same thing here. We'll do that. Pull that first. I don't know why I'm picky about which order those go in. But now that we have the ID, we can say where the ID matches the ID. And we can say that the data is going to be the data. Okay, yeah, Prisma is pretty handy. I don't have to write a whole lot of code to do what I'm trying to do. And then we'll return the user. This is going to be the new user, which means when we want when we get the action data. I wonder what this is going to do. Because even semicolonless savages like clean code. You know, it's really not. It's because I don't have my ESLint configuration in here. Let me pull that in really quick. What is it? The GitHub Actions one was the one I liked. Where did my ESLint? I thought there was an ESLint file there somewhere. Okay, let's go into this one. Copy that. Bring it over here. There we go. And now at some point, ESLint should take over. And there you go. It's getting the code actions. It's going to yell at me because I did so many things incorrectly. But Stony should be stoked because it should get those semicolons back in there. All right. What is next? When I make this change, Austin is not cool. Let's submit that. And we get our data back. And we reload and our change is there. So that is our update. Great. Me having ESLint installed saves you so much effort. Let's see. I still don't see. It's not complaining. So I may have to like close and reopen this project. Let me try. Oh. In the meantime, y'all got to check out my shirt. It's a, let's see. Make sure I can see what's going on. It's Rose City Rollers. If you have never been to a roller derby match, you got to check it out. Rose City Rollers is my local roller derby, and it's my favorite sport. So much fun to watch. The crowd is amazing. Everyone has like really fun nicknames, punny names. That's great. Okay. All right. Oh no, what happens? VS Code closed. Starting VS Code. It's thinking. Downloading a server for some reason because I'm on WSL. And next thing to fix, this should not be add doggo, should be edit doggo. Let's go, yo. What's taking so long? Well then, hello. Oh, yo, Creekburn, you're in Portland? Wait, which Portland? The good Portland? I assume so. Have you been to a derby game or a bout? Yeah, we should definitely connect on some of the local meetups. I haven't been to one yet because of the whole COVID thing, but I am so ready for in-person meetups. There you go, Stony. Look at all these red squiggles. You love it. You love to see it. Everything is now fixed as soon as I hit save. Thank you, VS Code. You're mwah. We'll hit save on this one too. Love it. And okay, so we have add dog. Oh, I love that it's fixing all my stuff too. It's great. Edit doggo. I don't think we need this anymore. We now have a way to get here. One thing I need to do is probably add, I probably need to add like a header, which means at the root component, we want to have some sort of, oh, how does this work? The outlet? Outlet. I want some sort of like layout. Format all documents. Ooh. Oh, you're in Beaverton? I got no hate. I got no hate for Beaverton. Let's not make that assumption. I haven't even met you in person. How can I make assumptions about that? And actually, I think Beaverton has some way better like Asian food than Portland Central. Don't tell Portland Central because then I'm going to get the hate. You should absolutely go to roller derby. It's amazing. So let's get a list on the homepage that gets me a link to all the other doggos. But before that, let's see if we can find like layout hierarchies, pathless layouts, parent layouts. I want to render a layout. Routing. Okay. Let's consider the URL. Sales invoices that. The following routes all match that URL. Thank you. This is helpful. The component hierarchy is perfectly mapped to the file system. Yes. The URL is accounts. Okay. It's partly your job to make this work. Cool. You need to render an outlet to continue the rendering. Okay. So the outlet is where the rest of the router continues going. Great. Index routes. But this is not answering my question. Nested URLs without nesting layouts. Pathless layouts. All right, well, I don't need layouts, I guess. What I do need is like a header. And I need routes or links. Link component. Also provides context. This is technology when the link points to the current page. Okay. So I want the nav link component from here. And here's my nav list example with nav ul li. Let's copy that. Actually, I don't need a nav list. What I need is just the nav link, because let's say this is going to be the link. Well, no, this is fine. We'll keep that. Nav ul li. And then we'll close that and close that. And the style I'm not going to mess with. And for now, I'm just going to put this to home. And this should go to just the home / route. So we've got home. And it's working. Cool. I'm going to need to get into some styling stuff soon as well. Let me get that sorted. So on the root, I want to add CSS. Let's look for CSS. I guess post CSS will work. Post CSS CLI directly alongside Remix. Okay, so I'm guessing that I can just link to a CSS file. So let's add a new file called styles/main.css. And we'll say .flex. It's going to be display flex. Do something like that. And then I need to get this into my project. So we'll do that with another link here. So I need to import that. Something like this. So import styles from styles / main.css. And we'll copy this. And we're going to say after bedrocks, we want to bring in our styles. This helps maintain cascading nature. We'll see if that works. Now I need to actually test that that's working. Let's say, I don't know, body, background, red. Everyone loves that. Okay, looks like it's working. Great. Styles are in place. We'll grab this flex. We don't need this anymore. And I just have some of my own styles that I like. Oh, no, we do need that. We're going to go on here. This UL is going to have a class of flex. And that's fine for now. I'm not going to deal with this little dot. I did mean class name. Thank you. That is always going to get me in JSX. Cool. We have links to the homepage. Now on this list of doggos, we need to look at creating that list or displaying it in a way that isn't just a list of JSON. So let's do this. Doggos is going to be an array. And I think I want that list to display above the form. So we're going to say doggos and what do I want? Doggos.length, right? Only if there's a length, because I think it should be, doggos should be defined no matter what. It's either going to be an empty array or it's going to be an array with objects in it. So, oops, doggos.length. And inside of that, we'll do this UL. And inside of that, we'll do the doggos.map. And we'll get our doggo. And for each doggo, we are going to return an LI. Not just an LI, but an LI with a link. So I need to grab the link from Remix. The link on here somewhere? Link? There you go. Inside of each LI, we'll have that link. And that should have the doggo.name. And each of these should have a key, which is going to be, let's see, dogs can technically have the same name. So a good key for that is the doggo.id. That should be a unique identifier. Great. All that said and done. Cannot read reading path name. Okay. Something went wrong there. If I don't grab my doggos, could it be the link here? Okay, everything's working there. Let's see if bringing in link is a problem. No. Let's see if we have this UL. Definitely have that. All right, Stony, you taking off? I really appreciate you hanging out. Yes, thanks for stopping by, and I will catch you hopefully next time. Will be Wednesday at 1:30 Pacific Standard. I know it is. It must be super late for you. So get some shut-eye, my friend. And this should be to the... This should be 2/pet pet slash, and then we'll throw in the doggo ID. Awesome. We have a bunch of doggos. Some of them don't have any names because I added them before I had any validation. But we should be able to go to each one. That's great. Back button works as expected. Pretty happy with this. Okay. Neighborhood pet manager. That is also something that should not be here. Neighborhood pet manager. This should just be pets. And then in root, we should have, instead of home, let's call that neighborhood pet manager. That should take me home like a country road. Cool. Cool. Oh, my reloading is not working because my WebSocket connection is failing. So let's see if we can fix that. Let's restart the dev server. Cool. No longer do we have a WebSocket error. That should fix the hot module reloading. Adding a new doggo should work. Going to CA doggo should work. And then next to edit doggo, we may want to have a delete doggo. So here's where we get into an interesting design decision, because what I want to do is in the pet ID, I'm actually going to rename this file because I think pet ID is going to be easy for me to search for when I search for files. And also, when this ID comes in, when I load it from the params, it could be like at some point I could have multiple things that I'm writing queries for, and they're all referencing an ID. But in this case, I can say that this is the pet ID. But params, I know that that's used in two places, so edit that to pet ID. I think that's a little bit safer for me to create the project that is more maintainable over the long run. Okay, so pet ID. What am I doing? I want to be able to delete this pet. So what a lot of people might do is have a function that does like a JSON API request. Like you just click the button and it does that. I don't want to do that. I want to create a form because I want this to work without JavaScript at all. So the only way to do that is with a different form. And this form is going to send an action to /delete. And I think that should go, what is that? I want a relative URL, right? So this slash should be relative to the current URL, I think. Or maybe it's just actions to delete. Anyway, all this to say that it's just going to be a button. And it's going to be delete doggo. And when this form submits, it's going to post a request. We don't need any other information because we can pull the doggo ID from the path. One thing that we would have to be careful with is to make sure that only the user that either owns this doggo or is an admin can click this button or can hit this request, but we will cross that bridge when we get to it. So let's throw that on there. Non. Interesting. Okay. Well, if I click this, it sends, to pet/delete. That's interesting. Yeah, that's not what I want. Huh. This is weird. Because this should actually submit the form to whatever the current path is /delete, which is what I want. And I also want the method to be a post request. And for some reason, it's not including the 6 in there. So this is a challenge because I want to submit a post request to /pet/6/delete. I guess the easy way to do that would be to just put the action in here and make this a dynamic thing and say that this is going to /pet/ doggo.id /delete. That may fix that. That does raise the question of having a route handler inside of pet and having a file at delete.js, maybe, or I don't know. JSX, we'll try. All right, let's try this. I'm going to put something here just so that we have it. We don't need this information. We don't need any of this. And we're going to say that this also don't need any of this. We're just going to say this is the delete route. Cool. Which means don't need this, don't need any of this, don't need the use loader data. I don't need to load any data. All I'm really interested in is this action. So let's comment that out. Let's see if we can get this ID, and let's see if we can get this body. Say console log ID and body. Cool. Start with that. So if I delete doggo, it does take me to pet6/delete. And now I'm in an interesting place because it should actually be inside of pet and the pet ID /delete. Okay, let's see if we can solve that one. Inside of Remix, we have the need for nested dynamic routes. Nested routes can also be dynamic. Now let's look for nested. Nested routes can also be dynamic segments using that. In the example above, blog TSX is a layout route for everything within the blog directory. When a route has the same name as its directory, it becomes a layout route for all the routes inside that directory. Got it. So pet id.jsx becomes, we copy that, we make a new folder called pet id. Inside of there, we get something called index.jsx. We take the contents of this and move it into here. We rename this becomes a layout, which I don't think I need this file anymore. So let's delete that. And then delete comes inside of there. Okay. Let's see if I completely broke everything. I did completely break everything. You made a GET request to that, but did not provide a loader for the route pet ID index, so there's no way to handle the request. In fact, I do have a loader. It's right here. All right, let's try renaming that to back to what it was, pet id.jsx. That's not right. Pet ID. Let's copy that and paste it into pet. Now it's got both. Let's see what it decides to do. Nothing. That's the problem. Inside of this file, I need to go up one more directory, rename that back to index, and save. Okay, cool. Pet ID is working once again. And I don't know if it's this one or not. So I'm going to delete that and hope for the best. Awesome. It's working. Okay, so remix. My route is working. Now I need to make sure that my delete route works. And it doesn't, but we have a different error. Define an action, but didn't return anything. Perfect. Beautiful. Here's my delete. I'm going to define my action and then just return an empty object. Let's go back. Let's post to the delete route. We get to the delete route successfully. Great. We don't actually need any UI for this because we want that delete essentially to redirect. And the redirect is going to come in from Remix React, I think. Redirect, no, it's not. It's going to come in from Remix Node. Redirect. After we do our work, we will redirect to the base route for now. And I think that may be good enough. So let's go back. We have this doggo. We delete the doggo. It's not redirecting us home. So that's not what I want. I want to search for redirect. And I think I was using that correctly. On an action. Return. That may be what I'm missing. So let's go back to our dog page, try and delete it. That redirects us back home. And in our console, we do see that we got the ID and the data that was posted. Perfect. Don't need this, which means this work has to happen after we validate everything. We don't need to create or edit the doggo. We probably don't need to do validation. We do have to do authorization checks, but that will come at a different time. And all we have to do is delete it then. Cool. So I want to see if I get any data back. We're not posting any data. Yeah, we don't need to post any data. It's just a delete, which means we don't need the form data. We don't need the body. We don't need the request. We just need the ID we have. And then we are going to hit dbuser.delete. And then we have to say where the ID matches the ID. And we'll just throw this up into a one-liner. Cool. I want to see what this returns. We don't need any of this. And I wonder if we even need this index route. Or can we just have a post request? Let's find out. Okay, so we go to our Griffin dog. We delete Griffin dog. Sends it back. It looks like it deleted correctly. Oh, gosh, I like this. This is pretty good. And then it does give us the dog information back on that request, which we don't really need. But just good to know that that's there. So that's what this route looks like. Why are we doing it this way? Let me see. Let me change that to just JS because it's just JS. Why are we doing it this way is because essentially, yeah, I want this to work with JavaScript disabled, which means, and because our forms only support GET requests and POST requests, we have to use the tools available, which is I could either send a POST request with some extra data that says what type of action I'm performing, but I don't want to do that because then that makes that limits the amount of this is hard to explain. Let's go back to this pet ID thing where I'm going to actually delete. In order to make an HTTP request, HTML has two methods available, GET requests and POST requests. And I can use a form or I can use an anchor link. Form actions are good for sending data. I could just as well make a GET request to the delete route, and that would essentially communicate what I'm trying to do just as effectively. I prefer posts though. So I could do a post request to the current page, but then I have this conflict where the post request to the current page is kind of designated for modifying the current data that I'm looking at. So because I'm looking at this Austin is not cool entry, sending a post request here, I want that to edit the existing data that's here, which means that that route is spoken for. This action essentially matches this action, right? So I can have two forms on the page that both use the same action, but then how do I differentiate between a edit request and a delete request? Well, I could have an input that says, you know, this is, I want to mark this as the action that I'm trying to perform. So the way that might look is we add an input, the type is hidden, so you don't actually even see it. And then the name is going to be something like, I don't know, underscore action, because I don't know if you can use the word action. Something to do, some weird thing to do with forms. But let's say we do action and the value is going to be delete, right? And then I could do the same thing and say that this form has an action that's hidden and that action is edit. That's viable. The only reason I don't like that is because I really don't like the possibility that I may want to actually have a visible input with the name of underscore action for some reason. So with that option out of the way, or not a valid option, what I like to do is use the routes to express what I want this to do. Now I could have another route for this form at /edit and have it behave somewhat the same, but no need to do that because just sending a post request to the current form or the current page is good enough to say, hey, I want to overwrite the data that's represented by this URL. Makes sense. Hopefully that was clear in expressing what's going on up here. But yeah, we have creating, we have reading, we have updating, and we have deleting now. So we have read from a list, we have view an individual, or read from a single one. We have edit a single one. No, we don't. Unique constraint failed on fields email. Okay, that should be here. I want to update. Boo-doo-doo-doo. Boo-doo-doo-doo. That's interesting. Austin is cool, please. Edit doggo. What's going on there? Okay. User await db user dot create. This is not the line that it should be. App routes index dot jsx. Okay, I think it's just it may just be a caching issue because that should not be the file that is handling that route. So restart, reload. Austin is super cool. User.create at routesindex.jsx. Why is this handling the route though? This should not be handling the route. Oh, Brent, you read my mind. I am right there. Always on point with your emotes. You're seeing what I'm seeing, right? Like, why is apps.route.index.jsx trying to handle what should be handled by pet slash let me see the network request. This is sending post requests to this route, which should be handled by this file, if I'm not wrong, because it is this file that's displaying the data. Oh, man. I tell you what, some of these remix things, this feels like kind of a not quite, I don't know, maybe trying to do too much magic with how they like handle requests and stuff. Okay. We've got a GET request here. This may be something that I don't fully understand either. So one thing that they have, you know what it could be? Maybe this file needs to come into this folder and be called slug pet id.jsx. There's something weird that they mention about the layout and the files and having them like the same name. So let's try this. You don't remix, but they have a unique way to handle forms. Yeah. personally liked it, but not mess with it, to be honest. Watch Can't Crush Forms, and it did look a bit different than this, though. Yeah, I think that some of the stuff that Kent is probably doing is leaning more heavily into the remixy way of doing things, and I'm leaning more heavily into the just HTML ways of doing things. And it looks like I figured it out. If we do Griffin, oh shit, damn it. Okay, let's edit the doggo. It looks like I figured it out, and it has something to do with that layout thing. So it is a little bit. This seems like a little bit of maybe tribal knowledge or or something that someone that actually reads documentation would get. But there's this weird relationship between dynamic routes and the child routes for dynamic routes having to be inside of the folder, which makes sense. But then the route that handles that more like base dynamic route seems to maybe prefer being named as that. So it can't be the index.jsx inside of pet ID folder. Anyway, solve that. We're at a pretty good stopping point. Let me see. Did we get dbeaver working last time? I don't think we did because we had that lock. Not really much of a problem though, because, well, let's see. It's not familiar. Okay, let's close that. Can I get in here? Tables, please. Nope. All right, well, that's not going to work. Oops, close the wrong thing. What the heck? Oh no, did I just... Gotta reopen all of my applications I just accidentally closed. But if we go to localhost, and I should see at least the first one and the second one. Okay, so let's go there. And then I can delete, or I can edit this one first. And then I can go to the second one. Oops. Second. Edit that. Go back here. We can see we got first, second, and AMRAC. All right. Maybe it's a distinction between routes with a trailing slash. Ooh, that is a good thought. Yeah, I don't know how I would test that. And I accidentally closed VS Code, so now I gotta wait for this to open again. But essentially what you're saying is, yeah, like if I went to like this, and then instead of that, I had a trailing slash and hit that, it's being handled by this router, but maybe like the form submissions are not. That is a really good, insightful idea. But it's okay. I got this working. I think we're at a working point. I think that's just one of those things that's like, cool. I know enough about HTML to build a pretty solid form. I know enough about React to be able to do like some Reacty stuff in here. But then there were some things that I didn't know anything that are remix specific. And now I just got to keep that little nugget in there. So anytime I'm doing remix stuff, I know I got to do this little song and dance, which is fine. No problem with that. After all, as we add more routes, these will be co-located. So even if I have hundreds of things, if I'm looking for something with the pet ID, I can find it pretty similar or pretty closely related. Maybe there's just a little bit of logic that's separated across multiple files, but again, they're right next to each other. So I'm all right with that. Cool. Well, I think that is going to be as far as I get us today. We've got create, read, update, delete. Uh, I think the next stream, what I want to cover that we didn't get into here is one of the problems. And again, like this looks like, but we're going to fix that at some point. But one of the problems that we didn't get into here is if I keep doing this, oops, whatever. Um, if I just keep doing this, I'm eventually going to get to a point where maybe I have like in the hundreds of entries and it's going to be a little bit unwieldy. And I don't necessarily want what page is that at? That's in here. I don't necessarily want to have my database find every single entry and throw it out. I want to have pagination. So we're going to get into an interesting conversation about how to do pagination with databases, because a lot of people would say, well, you just like increment, like show the first 10 and then show the second 10 and then show the third 10. And we'll discuss an alternative to that, because at some point, when you have so many things in the database and you want to get the things at the end on the last page, that could be a performance concern, because the database basically has to offset all of the first entries and then show you the last 10, for example. So that may be the way I go, but it'll be a discussion that we have, and maybe we do that together. So hope you come back and get to hang out and, have some fun and ask questions, and we learn some of this stuff together. Until then, let's see if we can find someone else that's on. Are we feeling... Well, I think ljtech.ca has a pretty cool channel, and also Melody Dev. Yeah, pagination is always fun. You need a little asterisk there. It's always kind of a pain in the butt, actually. And not just pagination, but filtering. It's really complicated, actually. LJ is cool. Okay, so he'll probably be doing some leak code stuff. So, and I like to tune in for those too, because they're fun. They make me feel not so smart, but they're pretty fun. Let's raid ljtech.ca. So is Melody. Yeah, you know what? I haven't raided Melody in a while. Let's pop in and say what's up. All right. Thanks again, everyone. And tune in on Wednesday at 1:30 p.m. Pacific Standard. All right. See ya.